Whenever Apple launches a new iPhone, everyone feels that they absolutely need one. But no one will tell you this truth. What distinguishes those trapped in financial hardship from those who build wealth, slowly but consistently, is their mindset. But before we get started, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, because you will find everything related to finance right here. Now let's start. Whenever a new iPhone is launched in the market, people who already possess a perfectly functional and good quality phone still feel the need for something even better, faster, and more premium, yet, in reality, they have absolutely no need for it. And in this way, a decision is created. Whether it's an iPhone or a phone from any other company, it makes no difference, the pattern is exactly the same. Spending money on all these things brings moments of happiness, but the moment they are purchased, their value begins to depreciate, a fact that few people have likely ever noticed. Now, a thought arises, one that few have likely paused to consider: what if, instead of using that money to purchase the product itself, you were to buy a stake in the very company that created it? For when a product or service begins to sell rapidly, the company flourishes. And simultaneously, the value of your ownership stake begins to appreciate just as quickly. And as a result, people's mindset regarding money begins to change. From childhood, most people are conditioned to focus solely on becoming consumers. They are taught to buy this, upgrade that, and acquire the latest versions, yet no one is ever taught about the other side of the system. In other words, ownership, and this is precisely where wealth begins to form. There are customers and owners. One spends money to buy a product, but the price of that product gradually decreases. And then there are owners who, instead of spending their money, invest in a system that generates even more money. So, instead of buying a new phone every year, put it off. Instead of upgrading everything, put a halt to it, because this shouldn't be a compulsion, but rather a strategy. Because when you save your money and invest it in something, it becomes a smart move. For a person who spends money on appearances is not truly wealthy. Real wealth does not come from ostentation, rather, it grows silently. Did you know that ownership is so powerful that it grows even when you aren't working? Because when a company expands, your ownership grows right alongside it. As a business generates higher earnings, your share in that growth increases as well. The scale of the system expands, and you advance right along with it. And on the other hand, customers always return to zero, because the value of everything depreciates, and every upgrade eventually becomes obsolete. This is precisely where the difference lies in the mindset of the rich and the poor. Because wealthy people do not have an obsession with buying more things, they simply want as many assets as possible that can generate income. Every phone feels important, every watch feels premium, and designer clothes seem essential, yet, from a financial perspective, none of these things are creating anything for the future. And this happens because when money is spent on purchasing, no room remains for the mindset of creating something with that money. That is precisely why you do not experience long-term progress. Therefore, gaining an understanding of how to manage money does not involve following complex formulas or advanced strategies. Rather, it begins with a simple question: whenever you are about to spend money on something, pause for a moment and ask yourself, am I spending this money on something that will lose its value the moment it comes into my possession? Or am I going to spend it in a way that has the potential to appreciate over time? Just this one question will completely transform your mindset regarding how to handle money. Because when you start thinking like an owner instead of a customer, your mindset regarding money changes completely. That is when you control unnecessary expenses and question purchases made on impulse. And as time passes, it opens up a different kind of path for you. This is not because your income has suddenly increased, but rather because you have started using your money differently. Now, just for a moment, imagine what could happen if you were to do this over the long term. To adopt an ownership mindset, rather than a customer mindset, for 10 years. Small investments for 10 years and make slightly bigger decisions. Because by that time, it becomes difficult to overlook the difference between a consumer and an owner. One is still working for money, and the other created a system where money works for him automatically. And do you know what the most interesting thing is? All of this started with those small decisions that most people often overlook. Not upgrading your phone. Putting off a purchase. Changing a habit. Shifting your perspective. It is these small decisions that create wealth. Not luck. No shortcuts. Nor sudden success. Rather, the right direction and decisions. Because once you start thinking like an owner, over time, even your small steps create something incredibly powerful. Conversely, when you are on the path of spending, consumption, no matter how much you earn, it can vanish just as easily as it arrived. The real question is not how you earn money, the real question is where you use your money. So, when you are about to spend your money, ask yourself one question: owner or product? Subscribe for more simple finance lessons that actually change your life.